Brutal, gritty, unforgiving. American Primeval throws us headfirst into the raw, untamed frontier where survival is brutal, alliances are fragile, and danger lurks in every shadow. Episode 1 wastes no time pulling us into a world of violence, resilience, and the desperate fight for a new beginning. But does it live up to the hype? Let's break it all down. From the very first frame, American Primeval throws us into a world that is harsh, violent, and unrelenting. There is no gentle introduction, no slow build-up, just raw survival, the kind that defined the earliest days of America. The opening moments are a declaration of what this show is going to be: brutal, unfiltered, and deeply immersive. It doesn't shy away from the bloodshed, the desperation, or the unforgiving nature of life on the frontier. Instead, it leans into them, making the audience feel every moment of struggle, every heartbeat of fear, and every drop of sweat and blood. This isn't just another historical drama, it's a visceral experience. The camera doesn't just observe the story, it drags us into it. The cinematography is dark and gritty, almost documentary-like, in its realism, making everything feel immediate and real. There is no glamour here, no romanticized version of the past. Every frame is soaked in dirt, every character etched with hardship, and every sound, whether it's the distant howl of wolves or the clash of steel, reminds us that this is a world where only the strong survive. From the very first scene, we are introduced to the brutal stakes of this world. A group of settlers, weary from travel, attempts to rest, but their moment of respite is shattered by an ambush. The violence is swift and merciless, setting the tone for what's to come. The show wastes no time in telling us that no one is safe. There is a deep sense of realism in the action. There are no perfectly choreographed fight sequences, no clean-cut heroics. The combat is messy, desperate, and terrifying. Death comes quickly, often without warning, and it leaves behind a chilling silence that lingers long after the scene has ended. Amidst the chaos, we get a glimpse of our main characters. They are not introduced with grand speeches or dramatic entrances. Instead, we see them in their most vulnerable states, fighting to survive, making choices that could mean life or death. We don't need exposition to understand them. Their actions speak louder than words. One character hesitates before taking a life. Another moves with calculated precision, revealing a past soaked in violence. Each moment is a piece of the puzzle, slowly revealing who these people are and what drives them. The sound design plays a crucial role in pulling us deeper into this world. The wind howls through the trees, distant gunshots echo in the night, and the crackling of fire reminds us of the ever-present danger. Every footstep, every breath, every rustle of movement in the darkness adds to the tension. It's a constant reminder that this is not a safe world, danger is always lurking, and survival is never guaranteed. What makes this opening especially gripping is its unpredictability. We are not given the comfort of knowing who will live and who will die. Characters we expect to be important are killed off in an instant, while others, seemingly insignificant at first, step forward into the light. This unpredictability keeps the audience on edge, making it impossible to look away. There is also an emotional weight to this opening that goes beyond the violence. The losses feel real. The pain is palpable. When a character falls, they are not just another casualty. They are someone's friend, someone's family. We see grief in the eyes of those who survive, the quiet horror in their expressions as they take in the aftermath. This is not just about the physical struggle of survival, but the emotional toll it takes on those who endure. As the episode progresses, we start to understand that American Primeval is not just about survival in a literal sense. It is about the survival of the human spirit, the choices people make when faced with impossible situations, and the cost of those choices. It asks difficult questions. How far would you go to protect what's yours? What does it mean to be civilized in a world that thrives on chaos? And is there truly a place for humanity in such a savage land? By the time the first episode ends, it is clear that this is not a story that will offer easy resolutions or simple morality. The world of American Primeval is one where every action has consequences, where the line between right and wrong is constantly shifting, and where survival often comes at a terrible cost. It is a story of resilience, of loss, and of the relentless fight to carve out a place in a world that seems determined to erase you. And so, with a heart still pounding from the intensity of that opening hour, we are left with only one thought: what comes next? The first episode of American Primeval introduces us to a cast of characters who are as rugged and unforgiving as the land they inhabit. Unlike many shows that take their time setting up backstories and motivations, this series throws us straight into the fire. The characters emerge not through lengthy exposition, but through action, through the choices they make in moments of crisis, through the way they handle danger, and through the scars, both visible and invisible, that they carry with them. One of the first characters we meet is a man whose presence alone demands attention. He is not introduced with a grand speech or a heroic entrance. Instead, we see him in the middle of a desperate, violent struggle. His face is weathered, his eyes filled with something deeper than mere survival. It's a quiet, burning intensity that suggests he has already lost much in his life. He fights like a man who knows there is no other choice, no hesitation in his movements, no room for mistakes. And yet, there is something in his expression that suggests he is more than just another hardened frontiersman. There is a story behind those eyes, a past he carries with him like a weight on his shoulders. Beside him, another figure emerges from the chaos, a younger man, perhaps less experienced but no less determined. His actions are more erratic, his breathing more panicked. He has seen violence before, but something about this moment is different. The way he grips his weapon, the flicker of doubt in his expression, it all tells us that he is standing on the edge of something. This is a moment that will define him, a point from which there is no return. And we, as the audience, are watching as he takes that step forward into a world where innocence and morality are luxuries few can afford. Then there are those who are not warriors, at least not in the traditional sense. A woman, her clothes stained with dirt and sweat, clutches a child to her chest. Her face is lined with exhaustion, her eyes scanning the horizon for a danger she knows is never far away. She is not a soldier, not a fighter, but she has the look of someone who has fought countless battles of a different kind. The kind that do not leave scars on the skin, but on the soul. There is a fierceness in her, a quiet determination that says she will not go down without a fight. She has lost too much already, and she refuses to lose more. Among these scattered survivors, there are others, men and women, who have chosen different paths. Some who have embraced the chaos of this world, others who still cling to the hope of something better. A traitor whose smooth words mask a dangerous cunning. A former soldier whose past haunts him more than any enemy ever could. A scout who moves through the wilderness like a ghost, his knowledge of the land making him invaluable, but his motives remaining unclear. Each one of them is a piece of this larger story, their fates intertwined in ways they do not yet understand. What makes these introductions so compelling is not just the characters themselves, but the way the show presents them. There are no forced introductions, no obvious exposition dumps. We learn about these people through what they do, not what they say. A man who chooses to save a stranger rather than run tells us more about his character than any backstory ever could. A woman who hesitates before pulling the trigger, even when her life is in danger, reveals something about herself in that single moment. The show trusts its audience to pick up on these details, to piece together the stories of these people not through words, but through actions. And yet, for all that we learn in this first episode, there is so much that remains a mystery. These characters are not open books. They are closed, with only the smallest glimpses of what lies beneath. We see their strength, their fear, their desperation, but we do not yet fully understand them. What drives them? What haunts them? What are they willing to do? And what lines will they refuse to cross? These are the questions that linger as the episode comes to a close, questions that ensure we will keep watching, eager to learn more. By the end of this first episode, the world of American Primeval feels fully alive, not just because of its setting, but because of the people who inhabit it. They are not just characters, they are survivors, each carrying their own burdens, each fighting their own battles. Some will rise, some will fall, and some will reveal sides of themselves that no one, not even they, knew existed. But for now, they are here, at the start of their journey, and we are right there with them, ready to see where it leads. The first episode of American Primeval does not ease the audience into its world, it drags them in by force. From the moment it begins, the show establishes itself as a relentless tale of survival, where danger is always one step away and violence is not just a possibility, but a certainty. The frontier is not a place for the weak, and as the episode unfolds, it becomes painfully clear that this is a land where only the ruthless will endure. The first major event sets the tone immediately. A group of settlers, weary from their journey, believes they have found a moment of respite. They set up camp, their voices hushed as they share meager rations and exchange quiet words. Some of them have traveled for weeks, others for months, all chasing the same dream, a fresh start, a place where they can carve out a future. But the frontier does not offer comfort. It demands sacrifice. And as the fire crackles in the darkness, the silence is suddenly broken. The attack comes without warning. Arrows cut through the night like deadly whispers, striking their targets before most even realize what is happening. Panic erupts, screams echoing into the wilderness. Some reach for weapons, others run, but none are truly prepared. The enemy is swift, brutal, and unrelenting. In the span of moments, what was once a hopeful camp becomes a battlefield, the ground stained with blood, the air filled with the sounds of battle and dying breaths. Among the chaos, we see those who will become central to the story. A man fights with the kind of desperation that only comes from knowing there is no other choice. He is outnumbered, outmatched, but he refuses to fall. His movements are precise, instinctual, a man who has been in situations like this before, though perhaps never this dire. His eyes scan the battlefield, not just searching for a way out, but for something deeper, a reason to keep fighting. Nearby, a younger man scrambles to load his weapon, his hands shaking as he fumbles with the ammunition. His inexperience is clear, his fear even clearer. But in this world, hesitation is deadly. As an attacker rushes toward him, time slows. He has seconds to decide to kill or be killed. His breath catches, his heart pounds, and then, finally, he pulls the trigger. The shot rings out, and for a brief moment, the chaos around him fades. He watches as the body collapses, the life leaving his enemy's eyes. This is his first kill, and it will not be his last. A woman, clutching her child, runs through the trees, her breaths ragged as she pushes forward. She is not a warrior, nor does she wish to be, but survival demands more than wishes. Her only thought is to keep moving, to keep her child safe, even as the sound of pursuit grows closer. She stumbles, but does not fall. She is terrified, but she does not stop. Somewhere deep inside her, she finds a strength she did not know she had. As the battle rages, it becomes clear that this is not just a random skirmish. It is a message. The land does not belong to those who seek to claim it. The settlers may dream of a new life, but this place is already home to others, and they will not give it up without a fight. The brutality is not mindless, it is purposeful. This is a war, one that has been raging long before these settlers arrived, and one that will continue long after they are gone. When the attack finally ends, what remains is devastation. Fires smolder, bodies litter the ground, and those who have survived are left to pick up the pieces. There is no time to mourn, not in a place like this. The survivors gather what little they have left, their faces hollow with grief, their hands stained with blood. Some are angry, vowing revenge. Others are broken, wondering if they have made a terrible mistake by coming here. In the aftermath, alliances begin to form. Some people, once strangers, are now bound by shared trauma. They know they cannot survive alone. A hardened frontiersman, reluctant to get involved, finds himself drawn into the group, if only because he knows they will not last without him. A man who has never held a weapon before now grips one with white-knuckled determination, realizing he must become something new if he hopes to live. A woman who has lost everything refuses to break, standing taller than she ever has before. The land may be vast, but there is nowhere to run. The only way is forward, into the unknown, into the dangers that still lurk ahead. They do not know what awaits them, only that they must keep moving. Because in American Primeval, survival is not about hope, it is about action. And those who hesitate, those who cling to the past, will not make it to see the future. As the episode comes to a close, the audience is left breathless. The world has been introduced, the stakes made painfully clear. This is not just a story about pioneers or war. It is a story about what it takes to endure in a world that is constantly trying to break you. The question is not who will survive, but who will be willing to do what it takes. And as the camera lingers on the faces of those left standing, we know that their journey has only just begun. The world of American Primeval is not one of comfort or certainty. It is a world where civilization is just a fragile idea, where the rules we take for granted have not yet been written. The frontier is vast and unforgiving, filled with dangers that are both seen and unseen. And in this brutal setting, the show's themes emerge not just through words, but through every frame, every action, every silence. This is not just a story about survival. It is about what survival does to a person. From the moment the first scene unfolds, the show asks a question: what happens to people when the world around them has no mercy? Some fight. Some run. Some adapt. And some become something they never thought possible. The characters we meet in this first episode are not heroes, not yet. They are just people trying to live another day, and the choices they make will determine whether they become something greater or something far worse. The show does not simply tell us that this is a cruel world, it shows us. The violence is not glorified, nor is it exaggerated. It is presented with an unflinching realism. A man does not die instantly when struck down. He gasps for breath, his hands trembling as he tries to hold on to life. A woman does not merely grieve when she loses someone. She breaks apart, only to force herself to keep moving, because stopping means death. Every action has weight. Every consequence lingers. This is a world where no one is safe, where death is not just a possibility but an expectation. And that knowledge hangs over every moment, making even the quietest scenes feel heavy with tension. There is also an unspoken battle at play, not just between people, but between ways of life. Some cling to the idea of building something new, a future where law and order can take root. Others see the land for what it is, a place ruled by power, where only the strong can dictate what is right and wrong. And then there are those caught in between, struggling to hold on to their humanity while knowing that the world they are stepping into will not allow them to remain the same. The frontier does not shape itself to those who enter it. They must either bend to its will or be crushed beneath it. The cinematography plays a crucial role in conveying this struggle. The landscape is both breathtaking and terrifying, its beauty overshadowed by its danger. Rolling hills stretch endlessly, but rather than feeling inviting. The dense forests offer cover, but they also conceal unseen threats. The rivers provide water, but they can just as easily carry death. Every location is more than just a setting. It is a character in itself, shaping the actions of those who travel through it. Light and darkness are used masterfully to reinforce the show's themes. The daytime scenes are harsh, with sunlight casting deep shadows, making every movement feel exposed. The nights are long and uncertain, where the glow of a fire might mean warmth and safety, or it might mean someone is watching from the darkness. The visual storytelling makes it clear that the frontier is not just a place, it is a force, shaping the lives of those who dare to challenge it. And then there is silence. In a world filled with gunfire and screams, it is often the quiet moments that carry the most weight. A character sitting alone, staring at their bloodied hands. A mother holding her child close, listening for the sounds of footsteps in the distance. A man watching the horizon, knowing that something is coming but not knowing when. These moments linger, allowing the audience to feel the weight of every decision, every loss, every uncertain future. Beneath the surface of all this is an exploration of identity. Who were these people before they came here? Who will they become? And is there a version of themselves that can exist in this world without being swallowed by it? Some will try to hold on to their past selves, clinging to the morals and beliefs that once guided them. Others will realize that to survive, they must change whether they want to or not. The first episode lays the foundation for a story that is not just about history, but about human nature. What happens when there are no rules? When survival is the only law? When justice is just another word for revenge? These are the questions that will drive the show forward, making it clear that American Primeval is not just a story about the past. It is a story about what it means to be human when everything else has been stripped away. By the time the episode ends, the audience is left with a feeling of unease. This is not a story that will offer easy answers or simple resolutions. It is a story about choices, about survival, and about the price people pay when they step into a world that does not forgive. And as the credits roll, one thing is certain: no one who survives this world will remain the same. And that wraps up our deep dive into American Primeval Episode 1. This show is shaping up to be an intense and unforgettable journey, and I can't wait to see where it goes next. What did you think of the episode? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear your take. If you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss an update. Your support means everything, and I truly appreciate each and every one of you for being part of this journey.